Putter fitting is being used more often now by players, and as I understand it, process is to match up the torque in the golfer's stroke with the torque in the putter. Now, putters have varying degrees of torque. Here is a toe balanced putter, and this has torque in it because the center of gravity is away from the center of the axis of the shaft. So when this putter is put into motion, gravity is pulling on that center of gravity and it opens up the face. And then in transition, when the player is applying force forward, then gravity pulls on this head. It's still traveling backwards momentarily, so it increases the amount of torque there. And golfer senses that torque as weight. So when you pick up a putter, this type of a putter or a face balance putter, part of the weight you're feeling there is not necessarily the swing weight of this putter, but you're feeling that torque as weight. So here is the face balance putter. And once again, the center of gravity is away from the axis of the shaft. So when you put this putter in motion, it tends to open up. And so with putters with torque in them, to compensate, golfer increases their grip pressure, and that will prevent the face from opening or closing. But when you increase your grip pressure, then you're taking away your sense of feel for distance control. So torque can have some adverse effects beyond just having the face opening and closing. So a stroke profile for a player with the torque that the player puts into the stroke, those are the strokes where the player is releasing the putter. This talk of release where you want the toe to pass the heel during the impact area. So you have to time that release and that amount of rotation. Or the golfer who's using the straight back, straight through, and that requires the wrist to close on the way back and then open on the way forward. So there's torque there. And so as I understand it, they try to match up the torque, various amounts of torque in these putters for these different types of strokes. Now, alternative is a putter with no torque in it. This is the Axis Rose model putter, the putter that Justin Rose uses, and this putter has no torque in it. The center of gravity is patented to be right in this line with the the axis of the shaft. So there's 50% weight on one side, 50% weight on the other side of the shaft. And the great benefit of that is that when put into motion, this putter does not want to open up. Gravity is pulling. It's always pulling in the center of the axis of the shaft. And then in transition, no more opening or closing of the tendency of the blade. So it seems that this type of a putter would make it less complicated, no matter what type of stroke you have, to have to compensate for a putter that is increasing the torque and making it more complicated to return the putter squarely at impact. So you want to try this putter, and you will feel a difference in the weight of this putter because you don't have torque, gravity pulling on the torque to give it more feel. So at first this putter may feel light to you, but then you can really lighten up your grip for the best distance feel. That's a great advantage because distance control is really important, especially outside of 10 feet where you don't tend to make a lot of putts. Now, the other way to address the torque in the golfer issue, where to take away this opening and closing and rotation of the hands, take away that rotation for release or the straight back, straight through, is to use the DynAlign technique where we're stabilizing motion in joints. Now, you can certainly putt well any of these styles. You can putt with rotation in your putting. You can putt with a straight back, straight through. And some of the best putters in history have putted with these various methods. But it's more of an artistic endeavor. These take a high maintenance, and it's not for everyone. So if you're having issues with your putting, it may be because you're adding torque, your putter is adding torque, and you're just not able to make those two match up. And then even for players who are able to putt well with those, and they can putt great for a while, but then they have periods where their putting is not as accurate because their timing may be off, and it does take high maintenance. So with the DynAlign technique, we're stabilizing motion in the joint. So we're making this more like a putting robot. You know, putting robot, once you get it lined up on line, all you have to do is apply force, and there's no twisting in the joints that's changing the face angle. So that's kind of like what DynAlign is doing with the golfer. Now, we can't zero out all this motion because we have soft tissue here, but DynAlign is a soft end range motion technique where we're going to a soft end range of motion with the joints, and then we're getting a stable arc stroke, a more stable arc stroke. Now, you can see down the line, once I get the stable arc, then I can swing this back and forth and just put it into motion without fear of going far outside of the path. You know, if I try to push this outside the path or inside, I can feel pressure in here because all the muscles and the joints are supported for more repetitive motion. The advantage of this is that once we get lined up, then we can really focus on the amount of force. It's just like the putting robot. You get it lined up, and then all you have to worry about is the distance control. So it's not quite that simple, but this DynAlign does simplify things so that you can get a nice stable arc stroke. And then when you get once you get lined up, then you can just focus on the distance control and how hard you want to hit that putt. So if you'd like to learn more about, certainly try out Axis One putters. And then with DynAlign, we have a free 50-minute feature-length video that you can watch for free on Secret Golf. And then you can also visit DynAlignGolf.com.